Okay, welcome to another video. What we're going to be doing today is taking a look at another desktop from Garuda Linux. So far on the channel I've checked out their KDE and their LXQt versions, but today we're going to take a look at one of the desktops I've been wanting to check out for a little while now, which is Garuda Wayfire. So Wayfire is a 3D railing compositor inspired by Compiz and based on wlroots. It aims to create a customizable, extendable and lightweight environment without sacrificing its appearance. So I'm quite interested in this one. So we're in the live environment right now and the ISO size for it is about 1.9 GB. So as per usual, we're going to install it natively onto the main desktop here and then just take a little look around. So it's using Calamares for the installation and we already have British English selected, so let's go next. Okay, for our region we want Europe London, which is right about there, and next. Okay, keyboard layout, English UK, default, that should be all good, and next. Right, so we're going to be using the Brent NVMe again, as per usual, and we're going to do an erase disk, but we're also going to do swap with Hibernate, that way we can test it all works out of the box. Now, Garuda Linux doesn't use ext4 as its default file system, it instead uses BTRFS and comes pre-installed with Timeshift to help you manage system snapshots. So that will give us 3 partitions, one for our EFI, one for our swap partition, large enough for hibernation, and then the rest is all assigned to root using the BTRFS file system. Next. Okay, user account time. Now, sticking with my naming scheme tradition for these Garuda Linux videos, we're going to call this one Eagle Boy. Type in our password, and as per usual we're going to log in automatically and use the same password for the administrator account. So we're just going to review our summary here and make sure we haven't made any mistakes. Now as soon as I press install now, I'm going to start my stopwatch and we'll be back once this has finished. Right, so the installation has complete and that one clocked in at around about 3 minutes and 52 seconds once we got past all of the user input. With that being said, let's reboot and check out our freshly installed Garuda Linux or Wayfire desktop. Okay, so we've just booted up and we've got to the login screen, which actually is quite a nice and clean look. However, I'm pretty sure we set auto login in the installer, so it hasn't appeared to have actually taken notice from our auto login. We also have a little on-screen keyboard at the bottom, but we should be able to dismiss it pressing this X. Okay, let's type in our user account and password, and then we should be planted at the desktop. Okay, so here we are at the desktop, and actually I really do quite like the way this looks out of the box. So it's quite a clean look for the most part, with a 2-panel setup with one at the top and one at the bottom. Now we are going to go through it, but we're going to start with the top panel because there appears to be a bit more going on, and we'll make our way towards the bottom of the screen. So top right we have a little red power button, so clicking that. Okay, we'll then open up a nice little full screen view of a black background and kind of purpley blue sort of actions there for the accent colour. And we have things like lock, log out, suspend, hibernate, shutdown and reboot. Now we will test out hibernation in just a moment and we'll do it the GUI way, but if that fails we'll also test it in the terminal. So while we're here we might as well check out the lock screen. Okay, so it changes to a nice little wallpaper, and does wiggling the mouse do anything? It doesn't, so I guess if we just type in our password like so, we'll then be straight back into our desktop. So fairly standard stuff so far. Now to the left of that we have a little red box and I can just about make out the word mute. So they need to sort of change the font colour in there for that to be a bit more visible, because I'm definitely struggling to see that. Okay, so it does have an action when you click it and it will open up your volume control. To the left we have a button called idle, so activated and deactivated. We then have some system information, so we've got RAM usage there, CPU usage as well as disk usage, and of course if we hover over it, it will then give you a bit more information. So when you go over to CPU, it will let you know the percentage on each core. Now does clicking anything? There we go, so clicking it, so on the memory one will then open up HTOP and we can see how much RAM is currently in use. So it's currently running a lot higher than what I would have expected for a desktop of this class, so it's using just under 900 at 893 MB. That does surprise me a little bit. I wonder if we do a reboot a little bit later whether it's lower, but so far I did think it would be a lot lower than that. So does clicking the CPU do anything? Nope. And what about the disk usage? No. Oh, okay, however a right click will then change the kind of view there. So if we go back to the default, it will then tell you 912 gigabytes, and now if you press the right click it will then give you a percentage instead. Now to the left of it we have our current connection as well as our local IP, and again hovering over it gives you a bit more information. In this case, it's telling you how much packets are being sent and received. We have no secondary action for a right click on that one. Now in the middle of the screen we have a little weather widget. We do indeed, and hovering over it has revealed that it's got the correct location. And we do have an action when we do a right click. This time it's just removed the location in actual view there. Now to the left hand side of the screen we have a few quick launches here for things like a terminal, which is Alacrity, Firefox, which is our default web browser, and then we have one for our file manager, which is Nautilus. Okay, actually got some quite nice theming as well. So that icon theme is Teller icons, and the application window theme is Orfix or something. So if we open up NeoFetch very quickly, we can see that the application theme that we are using is Orchiz Dark, and of course the icons are Teller Circle Dark. While we're in here, we can also see the shell we are using is ZSH, and the kernel is 5.9.12-97-TKG-BMQ. Okay, let's keep moving. So that's pretty much everything there. We do also have a menu here, so let's click the menu. So clicking it with a normal click's not doing anything, but a right click will actually open it. So we have a full screen application launcher, and it appears to be in alphabetical order. I don't think you can really move anything around. You cannot. And we do also have a search bar at the top, so let's test that out by just typing in Firefox, hit enter, and then we can just launch our applications like so. Very nice. Right, let's move towards the bottom of the screen now. So let's just close off Nautilus for the moment. So we'll start at the bottom right. We have a little clock and date and time here, and then clicking it will also sort of expose a calendar. And then just to the left of that we have a little volume icon that we can just slide all the way to the right or to the left to control volume. And let's just see if we've got keyboard shortcuts working out of the box. We do indeed. So it appears that most notifications and sort of system information pop-ups are going to appear from the middle central part of your screen there. And it appears to open up a new sort of bubble every time a key is pressed, which is quite interesting. Okay. And then we have a few quick launch applications pinned to our panel, and then we have the Garuda menu, which appears to be the same as when we do the menu up the top here. Okay, so now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the applications that are installed out of the box, and then we'll start playing around with things and seeing how everything works. So of course we have add or remove, and as we are on an Arch based distribution, we could also just jump straight into the preferences and enable the Arch user repository, but for now we are not going to do that. We will check for the updates, but we'll get to the updates in just a moment. So let's just keep going with the applications. Oh, okay, and also when there's a recent application that's been opened, it appears it gets its own little top row there for you to quickly just jump straight back into it. Nice. So we have Alacrity, Archive Manager, SSH Server and VNC Server browsers, as well as the ZeroConf browser. BleachBit, which is like a system control kind of application to clear your cache and all of that good stuff. I do believe in other versions of Garuda that we've checked out so far, it used an application called Stacer in place of that, so it's interesting that we've got BleachBit on this one. Let's keep going. And again, you can see BleachBit is now in the top row of our recently used applications. We then have Bluetooth, Calculator, Catfish File Search, Cockpit, Command Settings, Deconf Editor, Deluge for torrents. Let's keep moving. And that's opened it up right there. So that's where your running applications are also going to open up. Interesting. Let's keep going. So where were we? So of course we have Deconf Editor, Disks, which is probably just going to be GNOME Disks. It is indeed. Let's keep moving, and of course it is now in our top row of recently used applications, and it's no longer in the sort of main view of all the other applications, so it moves it to the top there. So we have Document Scanner, Document Viewer, Files, which we know is Nautilus, Firefox is our web browser, Firmware, we then have Garuda Assistant. Okay, so here we can do a bit of system maintenance, like refresh the mirror list. We can do some stuff with our BTRFS, like trim and scrub. We then can go into the system and do some stuff with the network manager, Bluetooth, printing, scanning and firewall, as well as conman. And in settings now we can also enable high DPI, long press to right click emulation, etc. Okay, let's keep going. So where were we? So we were around the G. So we have Garuda boot options. We have Garuda Gamer. I don't know quite what Garuda Gamer is. Oh, okay. This could be quite useful. So this appears to be somewhere where you can quickly install a lot of the game launchers. So for example, you can see Steam there. You can see Lutris. You can see Wine, Play on Linux. Oh, well, there's quite a lot on here actually. You can also install Discord from here, G-overlay. Nice, I quite like this. Now in emulators, we also have a whole load of emulators that we can install as well. We'll test this out in just a moment when we do the reboot to check how much RAM we are using. But that's pretty cool to have out of the box, to be fair. Okay, so what else have we got? So that was Garuda Gamer. Here we have Garuda Menu, which is, I do believe, is this application launcher. Yeah, it is indeed, which is now in our top row, which is quite funny. Okay, we then have Garuda Network Assistant, Garuda Notifier KDE Settings, Garuda Settings Manager, which is where you're going to change things like your locale and your kernel and all of that good stuff. What else have we got? So we have Garuda Welcome. So let's have a quick look at the welcome screen. We have gone through the welcome screen in previous videos though. Although it doesn't appear that there's as much on this welcome screen as the others. So in Tools we can get to the Assistant, Settings Manager, Gamer, the Network Assistant and the boot options. And then in Extra we can get to Partition Manager. I don't know if we have a Partition Manager installed on this one. We don't. And then of course we have Time Shift, which we are going to use for snapshots, but we're not going to open that just yet because I'm going to show you something cool that does with the update, which is why we haven't run the update just yet. System Cleaner is going to open up BleachBit, and then Quick Access. Oh, okay, these are these little sort of quick toggles that I spoke about in the recent videos as well. So if we just sort of make that a bit larger, you can see you've got quick toggles for things like muting your microphone, dimming brightness, etc. Okay, so I think that's pretty much everything in the welcome screen, and of course we have links to their website, FAQs, wikis and all of that good stuff. Okay, anything else we want to check out? So that was in G. So here we have Geary as your default email client. You have Gesture Manager X, GNOME System Monitor. There we go. Wobbly windows. Let's keep moving. And then we have Hibernate, HP Device Manager, HP UI Scan. HTOP, we have the icon browser, the image viewer, like so. And then we have Kavanta Manager for theming, lock screen, logout, logs, Lollipop for your music. So quite a common one you'll find in a few GNOME distributions. Although scan disabled, missing collection. Fair enough. And like we thought, that's where all of your notifications are going to be coming from the central top position. Okay, where were we? So we have Lollipop, Manage Printing, Meld, MPV Media Player, Print Settings. Then we have the Pulse Audio sort of stuff here for volume, system tray, preferences and equalizer. Qt5 settings, the V4L2 test and video capture utilities. Quick access, which is what we just saw in the welcome screen there. Okay, is there anything else here that's worth taking a look at? Reboot to UEFI, Redshift, which of course helps you change the color temperature of your screen, particularly useful in the evenings. Reflector, shutdown, software token, suspend. So we have another entry for System Monitor, but it does just appear to be the same as the GNOME System Monitor. Okay. And we have Text Editor, which I'm going to imagine is Gedit, and it does appear to be Gedit. Let's keep going. And of course you can go into your preferences here and change your color schemes and all of that good stuff. There we go. Is that Gedit? I'm sure it is. About Text Editor. There we go. Gedit, Gedit 3.38.1. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything. We are going to spend a fair bit of time on the Wayfire config manager because that's where the whole sort of inspired by Compiz comes from and has all of your desktop effects like your window wobbling and all of that crazy stuff. So W displays, what have we got here? Okay, this is how you're going to manage your multiple displays. So let's just make that a bit larger. So if we had another monitor plugged in, we should just be able to drag and drop things on top of each other to get a sort of a screen mirror. And we can of course change our refresh rate, size, DPI scale and resolutions. Very nice. And is there anything else in here that I want to take a look at? So we have a USB flasher, which is how you're going to create bootable USBs from ISOs. And that's pretty much everything. So what we're going to do now is just close all of this stuff up and then do our quick update. So a cool thing about Garuda Linux is that when you do an update, it will actually take a system snapshot before the upgrade, and I'll show you how that works in just a moment. So let's go on to here, go on to updates. Now there will be a fair bit, 227.1. So what I'm going to do is pause the video here and then come back once this has finished. Okay, so now that our update has complete, we should see a automatic snapshot when we go and open up Timeshift. So we're going to pop open to our application launcher, type in Timeshift, hit enter, type in our password, and there should be a snapshot once we've gone through the quick wizard here. So let's just go next, 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 and finish. And there we go. So as you can see, we have an automatic snap there. So if we just full screen that and check out the comments, as you can see, we have time shift auto snap created before upgrade. So what that means is if anything breaks during the upgrade, you can roll back and then hold any packages you might need and just investigate what's going on. So that's very handy and gives you a bit of added peace of mind. So what we're going to do now that we're updated is do a reboot, see how much RAM we are using, and then we'll start playing around with things. Right, so here we are. So yeah, the RAM is actually quite high there at 953 MB, and I really didn't expect it to be quite so high. So I'm going to check out the auto start while we go through the Wayfire config manager and see exactly how much is running in the auto start as well. But bear in mind, we do have quite a lot of applications installed out of the box also. So let's just dismiss this for now and then go into the application launcher and then open up the config manager. So we're just going to type in Wayfire, hit enter, and open up the Wayfire config manager. Here we go. So I've not actually looked at this at all, and it appears that there's quite a lot here we can do. So let's have a look. So in general, we've got the auto start, command, core, and input. So if we open up the auto start, here we can have a look at exactly what's starting up when we first boot up. So we've got sway idle, we've got Mako, WF panel, Redshift. So I currently don't need Redshift to run, so we can remove that for now. And I think I'm going to leave that there for the moment, but it's not loads there actually, so I'm not too sure what explains why it's such a high RAM usage, but I guess you could get it a fair bit lower if you took the time to go through things, uninstall what you don't need. Okay, in command, here's where we have little commands for things like your brightness, logout keys, as well as volume, etc. Okay, pretty cool. Now in core, we have some plugins here for Alpha Animate Auto Start Cube decorations, so we'll get all to that in just a moment. So we're just going to go back for now, and then we have input. So in here we can do modify binding timeout, change the key repeating delay, and a fair few little things there, as well as the default state of a caps lock, which is quite interesting. Okay, let's go back now. In accessibility, we have invert, magnifier, scale, and zoom. I'm not too concerned about the accessibility kind of stuff, so we're going to go straight down to the desktop part, which is where a lot of the inspiration from the whole sort of Compiz stuff is going to come from, like your desktop cube and your wobbly windows and all of that good stuff. So here we have alpha, cube, focus follows mouse, output switcher, window rules, auto rotate, and expo. There we go. So your expo is where it's going to spread all of your sort of virtual desktops or workspaces across your screen, and that is bound to your left super key. And the only reason I know that is because when I was starting up and setting this up for recording, I kept pressing super thinking it was the application launcher, but it's not. It's indeed the actual expo view. So we should just be able to drag and drop windows to anywhere we want, and we can indeed. And now if we go back into normal view, how do we move to different desktops? Let's try Control Alt. Nope, let's try Control Super. There we go. So we can go from left to right, but we've also, as we're in a grid, we should be able to go up and down as well. So let's give that a go. There we go. So we go up, down, left, right. Very nice. Okay, let's keep going. And again, no matter what desktop you're on, so let's go to a different desktop. So let's open up our Expo. You can then click on the application and it'll bring you straight to that desktop that application is focused on. So that's very handy. So we have idle, viewport swipe, WM actions, which is for window management functionalities, background view, extra touchscreen gestures. So I don't have a touchscreen, but that's pretty useful for those that do. Join views, viewport switcher, window rules, and window management actions. And we already read that one, didn't we? So under shell, we have background, dock, and panel. So let's check out panel. So we can change the widget positions from left, center, right, and we can change the minimal height. So let's give that a go. So that appears to be moving here. So we're currently messing around with the bottom panel, it seems. So let's go back to the default 48. And we do have auto hide. So let's test that auto hide. So auto hide works. And then if you just move your mouse back over it, it'll then re-expose your panel. Interesting. You can of course change the duration and the panel positioning and the layering. And now you can change the spacing of the launchers and the launcher sizes. So let's go for, let's say, no spacing whatsoever, so everything's right next to each other. There you go. And let's just go back to a more kind of 2 seems about right for me, because then you get a bit more of your panel left over. You can change the sizing of it. So let's go for 36. There we go. I think that looks a bit better. And of course you can change things for your clock, battery, network, menu and volume. So now in dock, we don't have too much really going on here. We have position again for bottom, and then we have a number, but I'm not too sure what this number corresponds to because it doesn't actually have any information there. Interesting. And of course background here, you can change your background. So at the moment we're currently in user share wallpapers Garuda, but if you had your own sort of custom folder in say pictures, you could then add the directory and then add your wallpapers, and I do believe you can cycle through them and you can randomize it, and of course you can set the cycle timeout, so that's pretty handy. Now moving towards the bottom, we have animate for effects. We have animate fisheye or wobbly, which of course is this effect here, so let's just disable that for now. Let's not use this plugin, and now as you can see we have no longer got windows wobbling. Let's just leave it on though, bit of fun. There we go. Okay, so we also have blur, key color, window rotate, decoration and water. Now in utilities we have annotate, bench. What's bench? Oh, okay, so this is going to show you sort of your frame rate by the looks of things, and it's going to give you it at the top there. So we're currently just about on 60 frames per second, it appears. Interesting. Let's turn that off. That's pretty handy though, actually. I can think of quite a few things that would be useful for. And then we have workspace names. So does that really change anything from what I can see? No. What if we go into Expo? No. Okay. And then in window management, we of course have fast switching, move, simple tile, full screen window, place, switcher, grid and resize. Okay, so there is really quite a lot you can do there, and it does sort of hark back into the old sort of Compiz days, which is pretty cool. And overall, I'm really quite liking this desktop as a whole. I do wish that it wasn't so high on the RAM from a fresh boot though, but other than that, I'm quite impressed so far. And it does just feel like something a little bit different from what we're used to looking at on the channel. Now what we're going to do to wrap a few things up is we're going to test out that Garuda game and see how well it works with installing different game launchers. So let's just open that up and let's go for... So let's try and install Lutris. Type in a password. Okay, so that's doing it straight away. So you can't do more than one at a time, it seems. It will just do it straight away. Has that actually worked? I'm not sure what's happened there. Let's go back into our application launcher. Okay, so Lutris has now been installed. So let's go and try, let's say, Discord. So let's do that for Discord. Again, it's going to ask you for your password. And it's going to go ahead and install Discord for you, and that should be good to go. The only thing that I think that could do with an improvement on is if it didn't automatically sort of kick in as soon as you pressed it. That way you could do more than one thing at once. But to be honest, that's quite a useful little feature to have for quite a lot, it seems. There is quite a lot of gaming packages here, and of course we have emulators as well. And let's just test this with the Dolphin emu. There we go. And there we go. So that's going to go ahead and download everything and install Dolphin emulator for you. So now if we go back into our application launcher and just type in Dolphin, that should be there, as well as Discord. And if you want to join the Tylers Tech Discord, there's a link in the description of every video. And yeah, very cool. I'm liking this actually. I might have to spend a bit more time with this off camera and just have a bit more of a play around with it. But so far, I think it's definitely an interesting desktop distribution. To wrap things up then, let's test out the hibernation. So let's leave this window open, and let's also open up a text editor. And let's also open up Nautilus. Okay, so we're going to try and summon the hibernation from the actual GUI, and failing that, we'll just do a systemctl hibernate in a terminal. So, hibernate. Right, I'm going to pause the video here, and hopefully all of those applications that are currently on the screen will be back when we resume from hibernation. Okay, so we've just booted up, and it has got us straight to the lock screen, which is usually a good sign. So we're going to type in our password. And if all of the applications are there, which they are, hibernation has worked absolutely fine. And I think on that note, I'm going to wrap it up there. But this is one that I am going to keep an eye on and play with a little bit more off camera, just to see what else it can do. I definitely recommend you giving it a go though, because it's something a little bit different to what I've showed on the channel before, and it might be a little bit of a change from what you're all used to. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and also join the Discord. There's a link in the description. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.